Here is the standard long division or bus stop method for algebraic division. Before I start, I need to do my checks. So the highest power of my polynomial looks like x to the power of 3. So I need to check there's an x to the power of 3, next is x to the power of 2, next is x to the power of 1, and then the constant. So they're all in the right order and there's nothing missing. And the same over here, x to the power of 1 and a constant. So that's all in the right order with nothing missing, so I can get started. Firstly, I'm going to set this up. So I'll start with my divisor, which is 2x minus 1. Then I'm going to write out the polynomial in full. So 6x cubed plus 5x squared minus 10x plus 3. Then I'm going to build my bus stop, and my answer is going to sit up on top here when I'm finished. So this method uses 3 steps that we repeat over and over again. So the first step is to divide, and we're dividing the first terms. The second step is to multiply. So whatever answer we get from dividing, we multiply by the 2x minus 1. And the last step is to subtract. Whatever answer we get from multiplying, we subtract from the original. So let's start with our first step, dividing. So we start with our first terms, 6x cubed and 2x. I'm going to divide 6x cubed by 2x. So we can do our numbers and our variables separately. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X cubed divided by x is x squared. That is the division done, so it's time to move on to multiplying. So the answer for my division was 3x squared, and I'm going to multiply that by the full divisor, 2x minus 1. Start with 3x squared times 2x gives me 6x cubed, and 3x squared times negative 1 is negative 3x squared. So that's my step 2 multiplication done. Next step is to subtract. So I need to subtract this bottom line from the top line. Now before I start here, you might already know something like 5, and let's say I'm going to subtract positive 3. Now that's technically a positive 3. If I subtract a positive, it's basically the same thing as just saying 5 take away 3. But if this is a negative 3 and I try to subtract it, subtracting a negative number is the same result as adding. So what some people like to do here is apply the minus to both. So if I'm going to subtract this 6x cubed, it's just going to be subtracting 6x cubed. But if I go to subtract this negative 3x squared, then it's the same as adding 3x squared, and that looks a little bit easier. So we can start subtracting now. 6x cubed, subtract 6x cubed, well that makes 0. So I can write a 0 down here, but I prefer to just cross those out. Next, 5x squared, and this time we're going to add 3x squared because we subtracted a negative, which gives us 8x squared. So that is our subtraction step done. So now we're back to the start. We go and we divide again. So whatever number you get down here, whatever term you get down there, that's what we're going to divide. So 8x squared divided by 2x. Again, my answer is going to go up on top. 8x squared divided by 2x is 4x. Now because this is the second term, I need to separate it from the first term. This is positive 4x, so I'm going to put the plus in between. Okay, that is the division done. So again, I'm going to multiply. The answer I got this time was 4x, so that's going to get multiplied by all of this, 2x minus 1. So 4x times 2x is 8x squared, and again it's going underneath, and 4x times minus 1 is minus 4x. Now I need to subtract, but I've got a problem. This negative 10 is still there, so I'm just going to bring that down and write my negative 10x above here to make it clear. So my multiplication is done. It's now on to subtraction. If I was to subtract positive 8x squared, it would just be like subtracting. But if I was to subtract negative 4x, it would be the same as adding 4x. So 8x squared subtract 8x squared gives me 0. Negative 10x plus 4x gives me negative 6x. And there is my subtraction step done. So I'm back to the start again, divide. So divide this term that we just got by the first term here, 2x. Negative 6x divided by 2x gives me negative 3. So that is my division done. Next it's on to multiply. Multiply the answer we just got, negative 3 by 2x minus 1. So negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is plus 3. And before I subtract, I need to bring down this 3. Now I'm going to subtract. If I subtract negative 6x, it's the same as adding 6x. And if I subtract positive 3, it's the same as just subtracting 3. So negative 6x plus 6x gives me 0. 3 minus 3 gives me 0. So I've got nothing left at the bottom. I've got a remainder of 0. So when we get to a remainder of 0, or a number that we can't divide, it means we're finished. Remainder of 0 means it divides in evenly. It is a factor, there's no remainder. Now remember, the answer is the bit on top. So my answer here is 3x squared plus 4x minus 3.